Hi, how are you? Welcome to MOONCAST. I'm Luna. My channel is Luna ơi, and I'm a Vietnamese communist born living in Vietnam. And welcome everybody to my MOONCAST today. Today we're gonna discuss, the billionaires, lapdogs, billionaires, minions, and those bootlickers and how they want to bring back the British Empire. But before that, let's warm up for a little bit. Oh, that's Cara from Brazil. I mean, how things going on with the election? The election is gonna be next month, right? And I read in some news about the Brazil election, and Lula's kind of keep winning and winning, right? I do hope that in the real actual election, he will officially win. Yes, CJ.
Just looking at your audio levels.
It's good. I think so.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, I know it sucks.
No, you're talking about Brazil?
No, I'm talking about Brazil. There's people dying here because of Bolsonaro. I mean,
yeah, getting Bolsonaro out will be undoubtedly a good thing.
Yeah,
nobody can argue with that.
Nobody can literally argue with that. Literally,
it's just step one, though. Of course, long road ahead for all of us, comrades.
I mean, for our Bolsonaro, good luck to Brazilian comrades, and please stay strong, stay safe. I believe in a win of a better future in Brazil. Maybe Lula will win in the first round. Hopefully. Today, I'm going to introduce to you a very I'm sorry about what's going to be going on in Brazil, but I do hope that things will be better soon. I do hope that, and I know that millions of Brazilian comrades are fighting for a better future for Brazil, so never lose hope. And I advocate for revolutionary optimism. So even in the worst situation ever, we as a communist, we as a leftist, we always have to look at that and find the way to change that reality in favor of us. That is what called revolutionary optimism, and that is a very important thing that every single revolutionary should learn about and follow it. Today, in order to change the mood a little bit, today I introduce to you a very famous Vietnamese, what do we call, snack. It is like the combination between a drink and a snack. This snack is made from soybean. It's very delicious. Soy is a very, very important food ingredient in Vietnamese culture. And we've been eating soy for how many years? Hundreds of years, I think. And we have a bunch of cuisine out of soy. And if you want to be vegan, soy is we consider soybean to be the meat in the garden. Means that it contains a lot of nutrition and protein that is very nutritious and good for your body. So yeah, this is it. Let's see. The black part is, we call it the dark sugars kind of soup, that we melt the dark sugar and melt a little bit a bunch of ginger too, kind of the soup like this, super sweet soup like this. And we put the super soft soy kind of tofu here, and this is it. This is my favorite, and it's so cheap too. Can you guess how much is this? A cup like this is 6,000 dong in Vietnam. 6,000 dong is kind of equal to 25 cents. Yeah, 25 cents for this cup. It's amazing. Now let's open this. Ooh, let's be careful. I don't want to spill everything now here on the table. I'm taking the cap out of the cup because it has a cap. Yes. Oh, actually, it's so hard today. Okay, got it. Um, as I said, it's a combination between a drink and a snack, and it's extremely good. This is soy milk. Yes, it is soy milk, but super thick.
I have a question for the chat.
Yes.
Is it a drac or a snink?
Is it a drag or a snink? Okay. So this is like an extra soft kind of tofu made from soy milk, and we mix with ginger sugar soup. Let's mix it up. It's sweet. It's kind of perfect for summer. If we put like if you want it to be cold, you put it with some. The original taste is like you eat it like a little bit warm and hot. But in the summer, you can put some ice in this too, and some other topping like jelly or something. That's a famous summer sweet soup in Vietnam. It looks like this. Look at this. It's amazing. I gotta say, it is like tofu cream, yeah, exactly like that. So here's the thing: if you are drinking soy milk, this is how we do it. Drink if you have soy milk, and if you like put a little bit a drop of lemon juice onto that soy milk and wait for a while, that soy milk will, what do you call it, crystallize together in the like, so it will become like a super soft kind of thing like this, and you can eat it. Actually, you can eat it. It's kind of it's getting thicker and thicker. But yeah, I'm thinking about I will learn how to make this and have a video to teach you how to make this because it is very delicious, extremely good for your health. A perfect breakfast.
Soon Luna's going to have a cooking channel and a real
Very
kitchen
soon.
that she can actually cook in
Yeah.
comfortably again.
Yeah. So the way to make this is like, long story short, you have a soybeans, you soak it with water overnight, and then you use, the machine, the grinder or something, the blender machine, to make it like super teeny tiny.
What if we call your
powder
cooking
of it.
channel Luna Soy?
Oh yeah, I would call my cooking channel Luna Soy. Not even kidding. I love that name. Soy is so much important ingredient of kind of food in Vietnam. And anyway, I'm a feminist. I love estrogen. Soy is a great source for it. So
You're memeing, right?
of course I'm memeing.
Okay. Because that whole thing about soy being estrogen is
I know.
Okay, I know. Again, I have a hard time telling when you're being sarcastic sometimes. Always the problem.
My humor is too dry sometimes for you to tell, huh? Vietnam Foodie channel went, yeah, Vietnam Foodie is gonna sound a cool name. I gotta say, oh, Luna Foodie. I mean, love it. And I'm proud of it. There's nothing of loving soy. There's nothing wrong with loving soy. It's more savory or sweet. So the soy here, the tofu is just like plain. There's no flavor and it no sandy, no sugar. It's just plain tofu, super soft like that. But we add the flavor by making the dark sugar soup here. You can you can mix all kind of ingredients you want. Like just boil the sugar with some water, and then you can add cinnamon. You can add ginger, or you can add other kind of flavor that you like. Into it, and then just mix them together like this. Not kidding. So if you go to Asian store and you go to like the section where they sell tofu, there's going to be two kinds of tofu that they sell. The kind of like hard enough for you to fry them. The other kind is extremely soft. It's for like usually Japanese people will use it for their miso soup. Yeah, kind of tofu or like their seaweed soup. That is like almost as the same texture as this kind of homemade tofu in Vietnam. So if you want to try it, I gotta say that this is a very easy recipe for you that I'm telling you right now. You go to the Asian store, you go to the tofu section, you choose an extremely, the soft tofu they sell in a bag, usually in Japanese, Korean section, and then you take it home and then you cook. You have a like you cook to boil the water. You put sugar there as sweet as you want. You add some cinnamon powder or ginger powder or both in that soup. Just say as just cook it as you like it. And it's enough for you to a small bowl so you can mix with this. Do not cook too much. And then after you boil that sugar soup, and if you want to eat it hot, yes, you open that tofu box, and then you put that super soft tofu in it and mix it and with it together. Or if you want to eat it cold, just leave them in the fridge and then mix them together. It's just easy like that. So in Vietnam, we just like everything made from scratch. That is why, but if you say it's very easy for you to find that kind of tofu in the Asian store and cook the sweet sugar with you. That is a very healthy snack for you right there. And extremely cheap, I gotta say, because you just have to buy the tofu. The rest of you cook at home. Easy. I think I would adapt very well with Vietnamese cuisine. I love eating soy and tofu, and I also rather drink soy milk than regular milk because I'm lactose intolerant. Yeah, that is also a thing in Vietnam. Milk is, I gotta say, milk is a new thing in Vietnam. Um, the first time that we drank milk, I think that was because of colonialism. French came here and they brought milk and cheese here. That is why like it got into Vietnam. Generally speaking, we do not drink milk. Usually, milk was considered an extremely taboo thing that only like royal family can eat it. And yeah, you're like the super rich assholes, noble family members. They drink like goat milk or cow milk, usually goat milk actually, and they use milk to take a shower. The shower bath in milk so they can have beautiful skin. But it's like extreme. The thing just for extremely rich asshole will do. The vast majority of Vietnamese people do not even think about drinking milk. So, soy milk is the traditional thing drink of Vietnam. It is cheap. It is good for your health, and everybody can make it at home. So, yeah. Cheese, even weird. Cheese is weird to us because it literally rotten milk. And no, we do not have a cheese here now. No, we don't. Traditionally, we do not have a cheese here. It is a strange new thing. My mom right now, she's around 55, 60 years old, and she cannot eat cheese. Like she cannot enjoy it. She can eat it, but not like the thing that she would think of thinking that eating it by herself. She would not think of that. I mean, I brought her a pizza one time, and she tried it, and she was like, "This is." I mean, she didn't really like it. Showering in milk. Well, I mean, if you want to waste kind of milk like that, yeah, you're a rich asshole. They do it. Yeah, we fermented food and drink a lot. We fermented soybeans. We have a soybean sauce. Really freaking good. If you go, even if you go to the pho restaurant in your country and if you see, black sauce, a bottle of black sauce on the table, that is the fermented soybean sauce. And fermented soybean sauce is like the thing that we've been eating for I don't God knows for like hundreds, thousands of years, maybe. Yeah, so soybeans is like a traditional thing of Vietnam for a long time. And we fermented like eggplant, we fermented like green cabbage, we ferment a lot of things. Carrot, like cucumber too, a lot. So, yep. But we do not ferment milk. Nope. We don't. Because milk is not a meal of the normal Vietnamese people. No. And even the rich people, they just drink milk, or usually another usage of milk in Vietnam is like when the babies were born but the mother didn't have enough milk for it, they will use like goat milk to feed the kids. That's it. And again, that is a choice of rich family. And for poor families, if they face the same exact situation, they use rice milk for that. They will cook rice and then they will put a lot of water and they take that kind of soup out and then they feed the little kid that soup. It's so good. I was like the water is sweet enough. That the soup here is sweet enough for me to enjoy it, and then the flavor of ginger here is really fresh, and then the tofu is extremely soft. I don't even have to chew. What is so soft? So good. I'm sorry if I turn this into a mukbang, but it's so good. Kenny Chingo, I do think that they know about that. This Vietnamese comrade is asking, like, do you know that the milk that you drink is like, humans stole the milk of the mother cow. The milk industry is very disgusting, I gotta say. And especially in big, like, milk farm or something. Literally, the cows were um against their will. They were impregnated against their will, and then they got pregnant. And then after they gave birth, the baby cow taken away or something, and then they just like harvest the milk from it. And many times, they will never stop harvest milk. So it means that like their breast will have to continuously make milk, and it's so bad for the health and the body of the cows. So I really do not encourage people to drink animal milk. I do not. I'm not saying like I'm not forbid you or anything. I'm not. But like if you can, please consume less animal milk and sway towards you know like we call it like seed milk, like this, made from lotus seed or rice or corn milk or soybean milk, like this. It is really much better to the animals than the animal milk like that. I mean, it's totally okay. I mean, like there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. I gotta say, yes, it is true. And I'm speaking of like, if if you have your for like some teeny tiny farm and you have a cow and then you have a baby cow and then you can borrow a little bit of milk from the mother cow, it's totally fine because you are not exploiting it. Fine. It's just like my mom raised some chickens in the backyard. They run freely and without the cock, the hens still make eggs every day and we eat that eggs and that's totally fine. But like like when they turn into like the animal like farm factory like that, they abuse the animals a lot and they have a horrible life, and I'm very opposed on that. So yeah. Does soy milk give you calcium? Now here's the thing. Vietnamese people have been living thousands of years without animal milk and we are fine. The thing is that like maybe our body's a little bit smaller than you, and that's it. And I don't think that's bad because I am less than 5 feet two, and I'm very happy with my height because when I go to public transportation like train or or airplane or something, I have no problem with space over there because I'm so small.
She calls it short people privilege. But
exactly, short people's privilege.
I'm not a nutritionist, and neither are you. But I don't think calcium it's like malnutrition that makes the height difference.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Because Vietnamese people are being born taller and taller now.
Oh.
And it's not because they're like drinking milk. It's because it's just better.
And we can also add like calcium into soy milk like this too.
Calcium has more to. I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, you got a lot of it from eating like shells, kind of.
Shells?
Like
shellfish?
Crabs and shrimps, yeah, shellfish. Got a lot from that too. Clams.
Okay. Calcium is really important for preventing osteoporosis, which is what I think your grandma probably had.
My grandma had that problem. Yeah.
But there's lots of sources of calcium besides milk. It's not even that.
Yeah, milk is not the only source with calcium. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. I
That's
could
like
be
a
wrong.
dairy industry propaganda thing. Like you can definitely get your calcium.
Sure. Yeah. And again, we've been living in thousands of years without like animal milk, so I think that we would be fine with it without it. Eggshell. Didn't know that. And I gotta say that, yeah, having the kids getting taller and taller, it's gonna be fine. But I mean, I love being short because I gotta say, because as I said, whenever I go to any public transportation, or especially airplane, I feel just totally comfortable with all kind of space they give me. If you have a super long legs, you're gonna be very miserable. And I know that there are many people with long legs or big body in this chat. So my condolences for you. Oh, hello Vũ Minh. Ra như này này, chị có hai loại video, là một cái loại là cái video mà chị làm sẵn, chị có edit trước ấy, thì nó khoảng 20 phút ấy. Chị upload trên kênh này, thế nên là chị sẽ public để mọi người xem lâu. Còn đây là cái livestream của chị, là chị đang live trực tiếp ấy, thì nó sẽ dài khoảng 2 tiếng. Thì ngay sau khi mà chị hết livestream này, chị sẽ unlist nó luôn đó, này chị nó lôi nó tắt nó ra khỏi cái public của cái kênh luôn ấy. Cho nên là thường là trên này chỉ dành cho những người mà có thời gian mà xem trực tiếp cái lúc này thôi. Còn lúc sau nếu không thời gian này, chị sẽ bỏ nó sang một cái phần khác và không phải làm phiền người khác nữa. Là chị làm hai cái loại video như thế. Xin chào em đến với kênh của chị. Một kênh của chị nhớ nói tiếng Anh để cho người nước ngoài. Nhưng mà rất là vui khi có em ở đây. So I just said hello to a Vietnamese right over there and explain how my channel works. Oh, you're sick feet too. I'm so sorry. I'm so freaking sorry. Yeah. Kenny Chingo, you're right. Đây là cái này lúc chém gió nha. Cái này lúc là anh chị em mình chém gió nha. Hello em là đấy, hello em. Ôi giời ơi. Okay, now I think we can move to the main topic today, which is about the billionaire lapdogs who literally want to bring back the British Empire. Now let's watch this video together here and comment about this. So about a while ago, I don't know exactly when. Who cares? But there is an interview of an editor, the commentator of Murdoch's Billionaire, this one, just James Murrow. And he co-host a new Sky show in Australia. And and they have like the stream with Rowan Dean, also like a writer for Nine's Financial Review. Like they both work for conservative neo-lib kind of news, and they work for like multi-billionaire, and they comment on colonialism and the British Empire. You know that Australia is now still under the ownership, the control of the British empire, the queen, the king Charles III now. And yes, they talk about it, and let's see those white ass people talk about colonialism in the 21st century. Let's wear my headphone. Oh, information about calcium. Lots of calcium in almonds and sesame seeds. Often tofu is made using calcified seaweed or chalk. Interesting. Okay, now Sky News. Exactly, yes, it is Sky News. Literally owned by Rupert Murdoch, a multi-billionaire of the USA. Now let's start.
I'll tell you what, if you're frank about the historical...
Wait. I have to push it now. Sorry. Okay. You can hear the audio, right? I think so because I shared it.
I'll tell you what, if you're frank about the historical record, guys, decolonization was a bigger disaster for so many countries around the world.
He just said decolonization have so much disaster with the countries all around the world. A little bit quiet, huh? Okay, let's see if you can fix it or not. Where's the audio? It's top already. Oh, this one? EJ? Is it this one? Am I right? What is the
just turn it up in the browser is all you can do.
Browser? But that's it. It's all the way up already.
So they'll have to just listen carefully.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I can translate, to you, give you subtitle if you want. But literally, this guy that said, let's hear it again.
I'll tell you what, if you're frank about the historical record, guys, decolonization was a bigger disaster for so many countries around the world and 100%. Led to so much more bloodshed, violence, all sorts of chaos and mishigas that the empire itself didn't cause.
Yeah. This is James Murrow. This is a chef, commentator, editor for the Telegraph News, owned by Rupert Murdoch, and he's also a co-host in a show of Sky News, something like that, in Australia. And he literally just said that decolonization is a bigger disaster in many countries in the world, and even bring more bloodshed, than the empire itself. Now, this is the opinion of a white supremacist about colonialism. Now, let me talk and give you a little bit of history about. No, I don't think. Just to finish this first, to get the point, and then I will give you, actual historical facts about the British Empire. Now, let's continue.
To talk about this as well, because it drives me nuts that we educate people at the empire.
By the way, this is Rowan Dean, a writer for the Ninth Financial Review, a conservative commentator, writer. And he also a white supremacist. He's racist asshole, and he also misogynistic. Yeah, surprisingly, yeah, it's a bunch of a perfect combination around this asshole. But continue.
Because it drives me nuts that we educate people that the empire was bad. I'm all for it. Let's start a new movement. Bring back the British Empire. Bring it back. You look at countries like Zimbabwe. You look at countries in Africa like Uganda, where they decolonized, as James says, disastrous results. You look at countries like India and Pakistan, which have struggled since the colonial era.
They even dare to mention India and Pakistan. Okay, let's talk about this later when we finish this video.
It's fine to say there were bad things that happened. Of course there were bad things that happened.
But
look at the rule of law, the establishment.
The rule of law. The rule of law. He literally just said the rule of law.
But look at the rule of law, the establishment
of the rule of law. Yeah, the rule of law. I'm sorry.
And so on. And look at the opposite that has happened since the British Empire withdrew.
But not only that, Road. The British Empire was a great engine of civilization.
Absolutely.
The great engine of civilization. This is exactly the same argument that was brought up by the shock dam in Germany in the Second International, and I will get into this later, and I will give you, a very broad comparison between these guys and the actual history that already happened. Just so you know.
If you look at other empires, the French, the Belgians, my God, all of these other countries, the Spanish, no other European power created so many successful successor states to the empire.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Can you believe what you just heard? Okay, now. The British Empire was the empire. It has been the empire that literally conquered around 160 countries, more than that, 170 countries in the world. To this day, in this world, on this earth, there are only 22 countries out of 199 countries. There are only 22 countries that never got invaded by the British Empire. And they literally enslaved a third of the world's population under their colonialism. It is the worst colonialist empire in the history of mankind. It's the worst. We are talking about an actual empire, colonialism here. It enslaved a third of the world's population directly under the feet. And the country that, I gotta say, the country that was treated the most horribly by this British Empire is India. India is a very huge country in this world with a population is 1.4 billion people. Around more than a third of the world's population, yes. A third, right? No, a fourth. About a fourth of the world population. Sorry. Now, here's the thing. India was under the colonialism of the British Empire for 120 years. Almost the same as Vietnam under the French colonialism. Hundreds of years, yeah. It was hundreds of years under colonialism of India. You know what? In that 120 years of colonialism in India, there were 31 famines that happened. 31 famines. Every 4 years, they have a famine in India. One famine every fucking 4 years. Go check it out. That's all fact. To compare this, India before colonialism, India has been existing for 2,000 years before colonialism. And during that 2,000 years of existence, India only had 17 famines. Only 17 famines due to 2,000 years of existence before colonialism. And most of the famines because of, the natural disasters like drought or flood. But under the British Empire, only just in 120 years, the number of the famine almost doubled from 17 to 31 in just 120 years. That's how brutal it was. India, 1.4 billion people under the control of British Empire. It's disgusting, it's devastating, it's unspeakable. Can't even describe. I'm speechless. I do not have any better adjectives to describe how horrible this murderous colonialist thing British Empire is. Now, in 120 years under British Empire colonialism, there were around 29 million Indian people died of starvation. That is what we know of. And one of the worst famine during that time is the Bengal. We call it like Bengalese famine in English. And at that time, there were about 3 to 5 million people died of famine in 1943. And why people in Bengal had to go through that famine? It was because the British Empire themselves took all the rice out of the country. And the reason why, one of the reasons, there are many reasons for that, but one of the main reasons why they did it was not because the UK was hungry at that time. It's not because of that. The main reason for that was that they were afraid that the fascist Japanese will attack the British Empire in India through the gateway of Bengal. Yeah, it's just because Bengal is next to Myanmar also under the control of the British Empire at that time. So the British Empire, they were afraid that the fascist Japanese will attack their colonial system in Myanmar and India in 1943. That was why they wanted to starve the fascist Japanese army. Because I knew at that time that the Japan at that time were also facing the problem of famine in their own home country, and that's why they stole a lot of rice from any country that they. Wait a minute, there's a phone call. Alo ạ? Anh ơi, anh để trước cửa cho em để em giờ em xuống lên lấy luôn anh để đấy, em xuống luôn nhé. Hey EJ, can you go to the door and grab the delivery in the door right now? He just left in the door, and you should go check it. And you don't have to pay anything. Thanks. I know you're watching this. Okay, back to the main story. Because the British Empire afraid that the fascist Japan will, attack and challenge and take over India and Myanmar, their literal colonies. Was why they want to stop the Germans. That was why they didn't give a shit. They did not give a damn about millions of Indians in Bengal. Nope. They want to stop the Japanese, so that is why they just took all the rights away. And that led to 3 to 5 millions of deaths of starvation in Bengal. This is a famine that totally artificial. This is the artificial famine only created by the British Empire. And now these white asshole, the minions of the billionaires, they said that the British Empire, the colonialism did so much of a good thing for mankind, and they downplay all the horrible atrocities and genocides that empire did all over the world. They say like they did some bad things. Yeah, of course, bad things happen. These are literally their words. They downplay all of the genocide with millions of victims during the time of colonialism. Now they said that the empire brought the civilization to the world. Now let's lead to the second point of the video that this stream today about, those opportunists, those revisionists that literally defend colonialism, imperialism, and they infiltrate the leftist faith as fear using the exact same argument. Is it okay that I call these people fascist sympathizer, fascist minions, literally racist asshole? They said that colonialism the British Empire brought civilization to the world, to the uncivilized countries in the world. Now, you got it right? The packet at the door?
No, I didn't know there was
You didn't
package.
hear it?
I didn't hear it.
And then rabbit,
Oh,
he
yeah.
just left in the door, and you just like open and take it. You don't have
Okay.
to pay anything.
Real quick though, have you talked about the French when they quote unquote brought civilization to Vietnam? It was just to steal resources from you.
Good point.
And then
I
as
want to
they
talk
left,
about that
they
now.
destroyed anything they built anyway.
Yeah. So now Vietnam shared the kind of exact same history with India. Because let's look at the map, both of the country, half of our border is like the coastline, and then we stay right in, the peninsula. And it is a very important kind of, speaking of the geography, it is a very important location because, the country is super rich in, all kind of weather, natural resources, and also farmland, and have its coastline. It's so freaking good, for traveling, shipping stuff in and out. It's great. It's a gateway to the whole continent. Vietnam is the gateway to Southeast Asia and China. India also a gateway to freaking the whole region of that Asia part. The Middle East. So it's very important that two countries that are rich in natural resources, and we will overexploit it. Now, talking about the point that EJ just said, thanks so much, EJ, for mentioning this. Talking about how colonialism brought civilization to other countries in the world. I seriously want to smash my screen right now because I'm so mad. I am trying to, stay calm, stay kind of, cheesy, but you know what? Inside of my chest right now, there's a fucking volcano that want to erupt anytime. Just think about this asshole out there talking about colonialism and embracing it. Meanwhile, my country, my people was literally the victim of the brutal colonialism for hundreds of years. Not just 1 year, not 10 years, not 20 years. It's a century under the occupation of racist colonialists. And it's the 21st century already. And these assholes went to television, national television, embrace the colonialism, embrace the British Empire, while they literally still under the control, the ownership of the British Empire to this day. These bootlickers, these minions, these brainwashed, indoctrinated, racist, sexist assholes. I just can't. I'm trying to control myself right now. I don't want to use too much curse word right now. It's so mad. Okay. Around early 20th century, when the French came to Vietnam, they literally, the first thing they did was they brought a bunch of modern weapons at that time, like guns and cannons. And they attacked the palace of Vietnam. It was in the center now near Hue. It was in Hue at that time. They destroyed and they stole every single thing. They stole even the pot, the toilet of the king at that time and brought back to France. The Louvre Museum to this day still have a bunch of our national treasures. Vietnam for decades have been asking those museums to give us back our rightfully treasure that we rightfully owned it. But they just, no, this is ours now. We put it here and then we just like, turn it into an advertising, and you have to pay like, to buy tickets to go and see our fucking national treasure on Museum of France, the Louvre fucking museum. So they stole every freaking thing, and after, of course, we lost. Of course, the royal family of Vietnam lost with against like how could we fight against a bunch of like modern weapons like that? So we lost, and then they said, they pushed, they put a puppet royal king in Vietnam at that time to rule the whole country. And you know what? Right after we lost the war and they gained the control of Vietnam over Vietnam, they forced Vietnam to pay back the war fee that they spent on invading us. Can you believe it? They forced us to pay back the money that they had to spend on invading us. And it was 300 tons of silver at that time. And I did some basic calculation, and it was around like $2 million or $2 billion. I could be wrong, but I think that around like $2 million in today's money. So we lost. So they forced us to pay for the fee, that the money that they spent on invading us. Yes, 300 tons of silver. So, and that was the dawn of colonialism of Vietnam. And now talking about how they brought civilization to this country. Yes, by civilization, they meant a bunch of those white colonialist French brought their families to Vietnam. They built plantations in Vietnam, rubber tree plantation, black pepper plantations, and coffee plantations. And they enslaved literally millions of Vietnamese people. They treated us as monkeys. They treated us as dogs. Over 90% of Vietnamese people didn't even know how to read and write because they intentionally destroyed all the education system in Vietnam. At that time, they have a two main policy. At that time, one is ngu dân and one is mỹ dân. Ngu dân means that they do not teach us anything. The vast majority of Vietnamese population under the French colonialism didn't know how to read and write and didn't learn anything about our history, about our heritage, about the nature of colonialism. Nothing. It's easier that way to enslave us. Another way that means like the demagogy. Means that they want us to believe that we are the second-class citizens. They are our masters. They are the civilizers. They brought like the light of civilization to Vietnam. And we deserve to be the servant. We only can be the servant and the slave. That is civilization that you meant. And they brought the idea of racism into our country. They make us believe that they made us believe that they are white, and they are smarter, they are our master, and we have a yellow skin. That was the time when we started to have the concept of yellow skin, and why, like it is bad. Okay, we have a very famous poem in Vietnam talking about this time. I remember 2 lines out of it. Talking about like how the made from a communist poet in Vietnam. He wrote, cao su đi dễ khó về, khi đi trai trắng khi về bụng beo. Yeah, that is the Vietnamese line for it. And it means like the rubber tree plantation, easy to enter, but it's so hard to escape. When you enter it, when you go work for them, you're young and healthy and strong. But when you got back home, you're old and dying. That is a poem about the plantations owned by a bunch of white French colonialists in Vietnam. And you know what? Yeah, those French colonialists, they did go to Vietnam and they built what? They built like railways, they built like mansions, they built like, they found out a lot of like tourist area like Đà Lạt or Tam Đảo in Vietnam, the beautiful weather, mountainous kind of highland kind of town, beautiful. But you know what? They built railways from north to south of Vietnam. So it's easier for them to move our natural resources, our raw materials out of our country, get on a ship, and go back to their homeland. That was why they built railways and also port in Vietnam. Not for us. It's for their fucking own use. We benefit nothing from it. Instead, we got enslaved and we had to work for them for free and died because of that. We get nothing. Yes, they built like mansions. They found a beautiful, a tourist town. Yeah, they built mansions for themselves to live there with us as a servant. All right? So fuck colonialism and fuck your civilization. Fuck white supremacist argument of civilization to us. We do not need it. We don't. What's the point of it? What's the point of having beautiful mansions on the mountain and the modern railways where literally our people, millions of us, got enslaved to death to serve those rich white assholes. And every single thing that they got from us, they brought back to make their country rich. If that means that, that's why you mean civilization, you deserve to rot in hell. And now, yes, of course, I hate those white supremacists, colonialists. Apologize, Here's the thing. But the worst thing is this. Around the exact same time of, Vietnam got conquered by the French colonialists, and France at that time also had like the socialist revolution at that time. Today I want to talk about, the Second International, and then I will connect them with the MPAT SOC to this day. This never ends. All right? Now, I will give you a very strong link between, colonialism, the British Empire, and then also the revisionists, the trader, the opportunists in the Second International, and it led all the way to the MPAT SOC to this day. Again, I am dialectical materialist. I always encourage you to look at any phenomenon, especially the social phenomenon, from, historical point of view, like that. You have to look at them and see how they develop over time and see the connection between different periods of time and different groups of people. Only then you can understand how it works and why is it today and how to deal with it in the future. All right, now, Second International. The Second International was formed in 1889, and Engels was still alive at that time. So the point of like after the First International, Engels, sadly Marx died already, but Engels at that time they wanted, he and many other communists at that time wanted to form a new international with better organizing kind of organization system, something like that. That was why they decided to start in the Second International. And at first it was kind of mostly it happened in France and in Germany, yes. But sadly, after the establishment, the foundation of the Second International, a few years later, Engels died. And right after the death of Engels in 1895, I could be wrong, 1896, something around that, the Second International was infiltrated by a bunch of revisionists and opportunists. The two most famous leaders at that time were Edward Bernstein and then Kautsky. Now, you can go Google and read more about this. I will just give you a brief summary of this, time. Now, at that time, there are three main factions in the Second International. A faction we call it the far right faction was led by Edward Bernstein, and he was the leader of the Social Democratic Party of Germany at that time. And they believe those people who follow, this information I'm talking right now is the interpretation from the Communist Party of Vietnam. I'm talking out of my ass. There's a lot of research from the actual official news from Communist Party of Vietnam. Okay, Edward Bernstein led the far right faction in the Second International, and what he and his followers believed was this. He literally dismissed all the role of the working class in leading, the social democratic revolution in society. They literally forced the Second International to change from, having a social revolution to secure the dictatorship of the proletariat. They changed it into reform. They instead of doing the revolution, they will reform the society. To maintain the to have the working class in the world, especially the working class in Germany, to control the means of production, some bullshit like that. And literally, they try to dismiss every single important revolutionary roles of the working class. Yes, they far right. They literally protect the capitalist benefits at that time because they want to oppress the power of the working class, so it can be easier for the factory owners, for the capitalists, to control the whole thing. Kautsky led, we call it the centrist kind of faction in that Second International. What Kautsky and his followers believe is that they try to have the compromise between, the noble capitalist bourgeoisie with the farmer, the peasant, and the working class. And you know that Lenin and Kautsky really, really hated each other, and Lenin really, really hated Kautsky. Kautsky was literally the one that got under Lenin's skin. The reason why is this. Not like Edward Bernstein. We do not consider Bernstein to be the most dangerous kind of enemy. We consider people like Kautsky are the worst enemy. Because at least Bernstein was straight up in his belief. He straight up said with the working class should not lead this social democratic revolution. We just should just reform. At least they straight up, they opened it out. They just said not the working class anymore. It's just not. I'm not gonna fight for the working class. At least so means that the people will clearly see their true intention, and then easier for us to educate them to stay away from people like Edward Bernstein. But people like Kautsky, this is an infiltrator. They take Marxism, Leninism as their cover. They call themselves Marxist-Leninists. They call themselves the only true Marxist-Leninists. But what they do is they revise the entire doctrine of Marxism. They destroy the whole doctrine of Marxism and turn it 180 degrees. But they still openly call themselves the true Marxist-Leninists, care about, the actual life of the working class. But inside of it, the true intention of it, they want to protect the benefit of the bourgeoisie. They want to seek compromise between the bourgeoisie and the working class. They do not want the working class to have a full revolution. They just want to live in harmony together. And in harmony, it means that they protect the benefits of the bourgeoisie, because the bourgeoisie owns the means of production. It means that they have a power over us. It means that they will destroy us no matter what. And the only way for the working class to truly have our power, to truly own our means of production, is to have a revolution, to fight back. But people like Karski, in the outside, they claim themselves to be the true Marxists. But in the inside, they really just work for the benefits of the bourgeoisie. They do not give a shit about the life of the working class. Lenin led the third faction. We call it the far left faction. Okay? This faction is the only faction that truly care and truly want the working class and the peasant to have a revolution, to really take over the democracy. In fact, that was why in around 1915 to 1917, 18, Ho Chi Minh also joined the Second International meeting in Paris at that time. And for years, I've been arguing and talking about, how to move on with this Second International, because there are three main factions like that. That was the reason why Ho Chi Minh in 1918, in a meeting of the Second International, he voted for the Third International. That was the story of why the Third International, the Comintern was born. Because the third faction, the true Marxists led by Lenin, wanted to have nothing to do with the Second International anymore, because they are opportunists and revisionists. They want to split themselves from that. That was why people voted for the Third International. And Ho Chi Minh joined that meeting, and he voted for the Third International. And this fun fact, important history story right here. In that meeting, Ho Chi Minh and Rosa Luxemburg met each other. And when Ho Chi Minh, after the vote, and Ho Chi Minh voted for the Third International, Rosa Luxemburg went to Ho Chi Minh, his name was Nguyen Ai Quốc at that time, and asked him, why did you vote for the Third International? Why didn't you decide to stay with the Second International? Rosa Luxemburg asked Ho Chi Minh that. Ho Chi Minh said his only one desire is to free my nation, to free our people. And the Second International didn't even care. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but the point is that the Second International didn't even care about colonies at all. Only the Third International, under the leadership of Lenin, care about and mention about, this problem. After Ho Chi Minh read, the Lenin's thesis on colonial question, yes, that thesis, that was literally one of the big steps forward that Ho Chi Minh to decide to follow, to become a Leninist and to support the Third International. Okay, so that was the answer of Ho Chi Minh, why he voted for Third International. It was because only the Third International care about the liberation of the colonies. Meanwhile, the Second International said nothing about it. In fact, because around that time, the First World War happened, and literally the leaders, the Democrats leaders, the Social Democrat leaders in the Second International supported that World War I. They supported the empire because they want Germany and they want France, they want the UK to take back the colonies and to extract wealth from it, literally. It was disgusting. I'm sorry, but that's a suck damn of the Germany at the time. And I read another article written by a very good writer. There was one of the leader of the Social Democratic Party in Germany at that time. They literally said that it would be totally okay. If the proletariat in German, have a revolution, something, or reform or something, reform and then somehow take power of their own country, it would be totally okay for Germany to go and, take back the colonies and extract wealth and exploit the colonies, because it's totally worth it for the proletariat in Germany to do that, because they racist assholes. They did not give a shit about colonies, about poor people in colonies being slaughtered by those colonialist assholes. So now, Lenin absolutely would have been on Twitter so much if that had been a thing back then. Yes, Lenin at that time, you remember Lenin wrote a bunch of books and articles and had a bunch of speech about, how to fight against those opportunists and revisionists. And then later than that, he fought against, also Bakunin. Am I right? Oh, this was a Marx thing. But yes, I remember he fought against Kautsky and then also Trotsky and also against Trotsky, mostly with Stalin. Yeah. With Mac. Yeah, Mac. Lenin also wrote a lot about Mac and how they they revisionists and opportunists, they actually idealists, try to revise Marxism. The whole point is to maintain the status quo. Ho Chi Minh really fought against that. Now I feel like we in the 21st century, it's 2022 already, but we're still in the exact same position as Lenin hundreds of years ago. It was because, next point is about the empath socks. Now, those empath socks, they worship LaRouche. They worship Dugan. They worship Heidegger. Who is LaRouche? LaRouche was a guy who, an opportunist, a revisionist, claimed to be Marxist, Leninist, but he was actually an idealist. I'm trying so hard to understand the purpose of LaRouche. But what I can understand is that they're totally idealist and they want to build a land bridge, something on land to connect China and Russia and the USA somehow. It's cult. It's literally a cult. All right? And the most disgusting thing that LaRouche did was they committed experiments, the mind control experiments on communists in the 80s. I could be wrong, but in the 80s, I think. And they killed so many communists at that time. They're literally fascists. LaRouche is a fascist. And you know that fascists like Hitler and Mussolini, those fascists, those Nazis, they're really good at hiding themselves. They took the aesthetic of communism, because at that time, the Hitler time, the 1930s and 1940s, communism was very strong and powerful at that time. The working class in the whole world had a very strong momentum of fighting against colonialism and imperialism at the time. And since we are so powerful, our voice being heard by billions of people, those fascists, the opportunists, they took the aesthetic. They disguised their fascist nature under the red flag. And they called it National Socialists. Literally Nazis, fascists, National Socialists. Okay? They were not leftists from the start. Just like Pol Pot in Cambodia. They were not leftists. They were never leftists. They were never communists. Voss is causing with the YouTube channel. Yeah, agree. Move on. So, they were never communists. Hitler, Mussolini, and Pol Pot, they were opportunists. They took the momentum, the power of communism at that time. They want to fool the working class into believing them and into supporting them. And that was why after Hitler took power, the very first victims of the Nazi Germany regime was actually communists. The very first victim were actually communists. And the Socialist Party of Germany at that time was ding dong enough to really, shake hands with Hitler. And that was the reason why he took power. He got power. They compromised with Nazis and they took power. All right. Pol Pot. Literally, Pol Pot in the 50s got, an opportunist, joined the Communist Party of Cambodia at that time, the Khmer's Revolutionary Party, Khmer People's Revolutionary Party. And then in 1963, he took power by, this is my conspiracy, what actually happened is that certainly in 1963, the first secretary of the Khmer People's Revolutionary Party disappeared. And right after that, Pol Pot took power. He became the first secretary. So I could be wrong, but it's my conspiracy only. I believe that Pol Pot assassinated that secretary of the Khmer People's Revolutionary Party, took power. And right from the moment he became the first secretary of that party, he attacked Vietnam immediately. And things got worse and worse. And at that time, we were mostly focused on fighting against U.S. imperialists. So we did not really spend much of attention or army to fight against Pol Pot. Mostly they just fucking stay away from them. And the worst thing, it got worse and worse and worse until 1975 when we won against the U.S. imperialists. And immediately, right around that time, Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge sent troops to the south border of Vietnam and attacked and killed thousands of our villagers. See, Mussolini, also started as a writer for some socialist kind of newspaper, socialist writer or something like that, And after he gained the power, he immediately take over and literally turned Italy into fascist state. Killed so many people, uncountable. So, now this is the thing that usually, the conservatives, the neolibs, they do not want you to know this. They do not want people to know about this. They do not want us to recognize, to acknowledge that Hitler, Mussolini, and Pol Pot were actually an opportunist that just took the aesthetic of communism to fool people into taking power, and then the first thing they do is to kill communists. Nope. They just like Steven Crowder just had, a tweet saying Hitler was a leftist. Yeah, those conservatives, those neolibs. That's what they want people to believe. Oh, Hitler was actually a leftist. No, they do not want you to know the actual history of it. And even to this day, I saw a lot of people who literally said that Pol Pot was communist. Dude, no, Pol Pot was a fascist. An opportunist fascist disguised as communist. And it was so horrible that this communist country had to put an end to that existence, that genocidal regime. So shut up. Gosh. So now, that was a story about LaRouche, a cult leader who literally murdered and had, mind control experiments on communists in America and killed a lot of communists. Dugin, Alexander Dugin, is a Nazbo, a national Bolshevik, or Nazbo, or Nazis, or fascists. He believed that Russian should be superior. The working class of Russian is a superior, and they need to set a new world order. Now, the thing that will fool people a lot is this. Those people, those Nazbos, they disguise as Marxist-Leninists. They disguise as anti-imperialists. Because, you know why? The USA right now is number one in global hegemony. The strongest country in capitalist country with lots of weapons. Heavy, strong capitalist hegemony run by the USA. So, Dugans as a Nazis of Russia. They believe that the USA is the biggest enemy to the superiority of the Russian fascists. We, the actual communist leftists, all right, we also consider the USA to be our biggest enemy because sister, the USA just bombed my country back to the Stone Age just 50 years ago. So we both, we both like have the same enemy, but it doesn't mean that we friends. So like the enemies of our enemies is our friend is bullshit. All right. We the leftists, we fight for an equal world, the world where everybody is equal. Everybody can be free and have freedom, self-determination, something like that. Meanwhile, people like Dugans, they fight for the dominance of their country, literally fascists. They fight for the dominance of their own country. I will say it again. But because they want the support from us, because again, we're still very powerful. And we can be useful for them because we also hate the USA. That was why they disguise as a Marxist-Leninists, as communists to fool you. Literally, Dugin wrote in his own book that Russia needs fascism. Word by word, quote unquote. Russia needs fascism. That was why the two whole halves try to like go around the bush and try to explain what Dugin meant when he said the fascism, and he trying to actually when Dugin said fascism he actually mean communism, like bullshit. So that is why lots of people like Jackson Hinkle and the Impact Sock, they try to disguise as Marxism is to fool you. The hope that they do not fight for an equal world where everybody, every people, all kind of nation are equal and have a self-determination. No, they fight for their country, for their race, for their people, for their nation to dominate. We just happen to have the same enemy. That's it. And you need to stay alert. You need to be aware of this so you will not become the pawn. You will not become the minions of those fascists disguised as Marxist-Leninists. They are not leftists. They always have been just fascists. Fascists with the red flag. That's just it. We always say that the clothes doesn't make a monk. Quần áo không làm nên thầy tu. The clothes doesn't make a monk. The point is you have to look inside their nature to see the pure nature, the true intention behind that. Not just look at their bio, not just look at their fucking profile picture. Just say, oh, this person is this. You have to actually read what they wrote, listen to what they said, and draw your own conclusion. The sad thing is this, lots of people in the imperial core in the West, because you are not taught dialectical materialism and you're not taught in critical thinking, because you are unable to have an analysis. You just see people to put some words in their bios and there's some symbols in their avatar profile pictures. So that person must be the genuine. They must tell the truth about what actually they are. Is that you do not listen or actually try to analyze what they actually meant when they said it. It's really disgusting, I'd say. And here's the thing too, it's so funny thing here is this. This is my honest take. I got my honest, very honest take. Russia right now is not the USSR. The USSR is dead. The Russia right now is extremely capitalist. And fascist, Russia has fascist problem. There's a group in Russia called the Skinhead. They fascist organization. They went and they looked for immigrants and they slaughtered immigrants. A lot of Vietnamese immigrants in Russia were slaughtered by them. They destroy our business, destroy our house, and then they kill our people just because we're not Russian, but we're not like them. It is very disgusting. So, and those people, like those empath socks, the anti-imperialists, the anti the USA, yeah. But then they praise Putin and they praise Russia today. Like, dude, like seriously? You're like the really anti-imperialist, I gotta say? Like, what? And now they support Trump, communists for Trump. Oh gosh. Just we all love the USSR, yes. But I'm sorry, it's that. It died in 1991, and you do not equate Russia today as Russia in the 50s. You do not. Those people, they live in their dream or something. They anti-imperialist, but they support the capitalist Russia. They uphold Dugin Tartese, the Russian Nazis. They also uphold LaRouche, literally a cult leader. And then Alexander, like I don't know, Heidegger, literally an SS, like Nazis. And then Nazis support Trump. You see how obvious they are? They're Nazis. They're fascists. But lots and lots and lots of people just because, they call themselves communists, they must be communists, they must have the Jews, right? Like seriously, why are you so naive? Why are you so trusting? Why do you just trust people the first moment like you met them? No, you have to investigate. You have to see what they say. Just look at Jackson Hinkle got on the OANN and what they described communism. Literally, Jackson Hinkle said that Marxism was originally conservative. Like, what the fuck? He also said that Marxists do not support. Oh no, Marxists actually support the private property. Real Marxists never intend to abolish the private property. Like, geez, Jackson Hinkle couldn't even distinguish between private property and personal property. And they dare to go to the TV channel and explain communism to the host. Like, what the fuck? It is so obvious that he's not a communist, so obvious that even the host himself in the show said that I don't think you're communist. Yeah, for once in his life, the host of the extremely far-right channel was right for once in his life. Jackson Hinkle is not a communist. Dude, even the fucking far-right can tell that Jackson Hinkle is not a communist. Meanwhile, you, like, how do you think that he's communist? I can't stand it. Even the far-right is smarter than you. God damn it. Hey. Oh, here I will show you this. So we just had a very strong and angry kind of conversation. Let's have fun. Let's have fun and check this out. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'll show you this. Okay, so this is the actual poster of that empath meeting. Look at this poster. I'm gonna click this and zoom it in for you. You can see here. Okay, now bring more. So look at this. Look at this. Look at this aesthetic. This. Oh my gosh. I mean. Oh my gosh. Commie always like to infiltrate good conservative parties. Excuse me, is actually the other way around. It's actually the conservative people trying to disguise as communists and try to sabotage it. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Speaking as a communist, that is the truth that usually the conservative disguise as Marxist-Leninists, like Jackson Hinkle has, okay? Literally a Caleb Spanky Maupin, yeah. Literally the conservative disguise as Marxist-Leninists and try to infiltrate us. Yes. Okay. Look at this poster. Look at the style. I do not understand this style. Like, what the heck is this? What the heck am I looking at? Open image in new tab. Let's do this. Oh, I have a better poster for you, but this is real. I just saw, yeah, this is real. They literally put this on street. I'm not kidding. I'm not lying. They put this on street. All right. Oh man, boy, oh boy. I will show you a better, better image of this poster. Here, this one. Look at this, folks. What do you think about this poster? What do you think about the design art here? Like, I mean, that's the American flag, on the background. And they have like 20 different fonts here. They have this is the names, I don't know why they design like this. EJ, did you have any comment on this design?
I love how they have Schiller jumping through a flaming hoop like a trained poodle.
Oh.
You know how they train the poodles to like jump through a flaming hoop at the circus?
They can't even have an actual photo shoot or something. It's just literally take people's like avatar picture or something.
Oh, the photoshopping is hilarious. It looks like.
And then look at the names of people. Like they just put it randomly. Put like words here, letters here.
It literally just looks like a cult. I mean, it looks.
And they have the fire around the guy, like the Schiller Institute, literally a La Rouge.
Wait a minute, hold on. I got to show you what I don't think you get my joke.
What the hell? Why is the yacht in the background? They rich people. They like boat party. They gonna have a boat party. I don't know. Looks like the type of thing I made for middle school graphic design homework. Green fascism. Oh, this is another dog we saw. They like those what did you call it? The environmentalism. They believe that those environmentalists are green fascists.
Yeah, you didn't point out the yacht in the background.
Yeah, I haven't even done with this yet. I haven't.
Check out the private chat. I just sent you on screen.
Okay.
I just think this is really funny what they did because Schiller's supposed to be like.
Oh. That's funny. Oh, yeah, I will show this.
This is what I wish you could put them up side by side.
Yeah, I wish, but we can't. So, you're right. The firing thing, the circus firing, yeah.
Yeah. I'll do a little Photoshop real quick.
Oh my gosh. Let's be back to this, like this ugly ass poster. I really don't understand, like. I mean, when you decided to design this, thoughts on Maoism versus Mao Zedong thought, I'm under the impression that Deng is reject the former and promote the later.
I can explain the green fascism thing.
Okay, later. I'm trying to explain this thing. Here's the thing. Mao Zedong thought is very different from Maoism. And Mao Zedong himself, when he was still alive, he literally said, demand us, his people, to never call his ideas like Maoism, because it's not a separate ideology. It is just, a thought of him about Marxism, Leninism in the material condition of China. Exactly the same thing as we call Ho Chi Minh thought. We do not call it Ho Chi Minhism or something like that. We don't. Or Hoism or something like that. We don't. No, we don't. We just call it Ho Chi Minh thought because we believe that it is just an application of Marxism, Leninism into the specific condition of Vietnam. It is not a whole new ideology. All right, it is just a branch of Marxism, Leninism that after we applied Marxism and Leninism into the specific material condition of Vietnam, we call it Ho Chi Minh thought. And then in the Mao Zedong kind of thing, we call it Mao Zedong thought. Maoism was actually founded by a guy who claimed to be Maoist, like the follower of Mao. And it has nothing to do with Mao actually himself. And I gotta say that, like, you know the Shining Path? Yeah, one of the original, like, kind of thing of a Maoist thing. Literally cult. Okay? They're nuts. That's it. That's my point. And Maoism and Mao Zedong are very different. And I'm not an expert on both. I gotta say, I admit it, I'm not an expert on both. I just know enough that you should not equate the two. And I prefer Mao thought over Maoism. That's my answer. About Dungism is a whole another thing. I don't even believe that Dungism exists. You can disagree with me. That's fine. It's just my thought. Agree to disagree and move on. That's it. Deng Xiaoping in the 1970s, 1980s. He opened the country, the economy of China to bring in, like capitalism in, so country can recover, blah blah. It's like that kind of, yeah. And the thing that, like, I do not like Deng Xiaoping. We don't. Vietnamese do not like Deng Xiaoping, generally speaking, because you know what? Deng Xiaoping was the guy who gave the order for China to attack the border of Vietnam in 1979. Because the Deng Xiaoping, China and the Deng Xiaoping supported Pol Pot, along with Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, the CIA, the USA, and then the UK and the British Empire. Yeah, they all three of them shake hands and supported Pol Pot so they can fuck Vietnam up. And that was I thought about this a lot, so I'm not going to talk about it today too. So Vietnam hated Deng Xiaoping because it led to the brutal, fight between Vietnam and China in 1979, right before we were about to send the troops to Cambodia to end the genocidal regime of Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge. So, yeah. And also Vietnam got a lot of equity, our doing reforms in 1985. We were like a bunch of ultra leftists, of course, like trade of communism, blah, blah, with revisionist, blah, blah, blah. I mean, because of we open our economy, so like we can use a lot of long story short. I mean, it's a very, very complicated. So me to answer your question is like, I prefer Mao Zedong thought over Maoism. And I'm not an expert on Dengness or Dengism or Deng Xiaoping. No. So that's it. So thank you so much for super chat. Oh, thank you so much, Sam Wise, Morgenstern. Pats are just Jazzerous boss from Wish. Is it not like the Nazi with extra step? Let's this back to this poster. Okay. Gosh. Somehow they have like huge corporates, like buildings with the luxury yacht on the river, like super boozy looking, but they claim to be communist, fight for the working class. This look exactly some like ugly ass poster for like both party asshole, like, oh, maybe they co-opt the manga aesthetic. You remember those rich asshole mangas, protested, on their boats, literally their yachts, with the American flag. I guess they want to like that aesthetic to, be compelled to manga. Like what? I'm sorry, Tempest. I'm so sorry. Not yet. That's the second post I want to show you. Ta-da! Ta-da! Ding, 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 ding. You see the huge American flag in the background? It's the ugliest flag, and literally the flag is a flag of imperialism. The 50 stars are the 50 states that illegally occupied by the USA, and the 13 stripes are the 13 colonies. The 13 colonies are literally the USA broke every treaty with these colonies, and behind the back is like, where is it? Like New York? Am I right? They built a new paradigm, and this like SchillerInstitute.com. This is a LaRouche cult. And the ticket is $20. Okay, the ticket is $20. People, are there people going to pay for this? Will people pay for this?
It's a cult within a cult. It's like a multi-level marketing campaign.
Yeah,
okay?
You're right.
This is what's really funny about this. So you have your like chief cult, your top cult, which is the LaRouche Schiller Institute cult.
Yeah, you're like bottom feet.
No, the funniest. Okay, so you have here's the structure. You have your top cult, your champion cult, your alpha cult,
which
that's
is
the
LaRouche.
The LaRouche organization, which is just batshit. I mean, we're gonna do videos and stuff and talk about how it's just wild and rabidly anti-communist. He's like LaRouche was like a supervillain. Seriously, like he did like mind control experiments on communists. He waged what he called sexual warfare on communists. He did. He worked with the KKK to do an anti-black violent operation called Operation Mock-Up.
Yeah.
In which he was like sending out people to physically attack and try to kill young communists and black people. He worked with the CIA. He was just a horrible, horrible person throughout his entire life. His praxis was just monsters and evil, right? So you have this cult that worships this guy, who also said just like wild shit, like that being a woman is like being a homosexual.
What the hell, sexual warfare?
I put the quote in my video. We'll explain all this in the future. We can't even talk about this on stream. I have to figure out how I'm going to talk about it.
I'm sorry.
You can go look it up. There's articles about it.
It's too brutal.
Look up, if you go watch the video on non-compete about MAGA communists, I put a link in the description that talks about LaRouche, and you can read about it there. It's pretty disturbing. But okay, so LaRouche there's this LaRouche cult. They're like the top cult. And then under that, there's like the American Patriot Socialist cults. And so, like, if you're a cultist for the American Patriot Socialists, you're like the bottom feeding cult member.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that even now, the American Patriot Socialists, like top cult leaders, they're like their cult followers are now trying to start subcults. So it's like a multi-level marketing thing. It's like cults all the way down. And imagine being at the bottom level where you're like worshiping, you're licking the boots of a bootlicker who's licking the boots of someone else. Like, that's really embarrassing. Like, you know, I'm sure that
it's so embarrassing.
It's really, really, it's just absurd. So anyway, and by the way, LaRouche was just a rabid anti-communist. There's no way. Join my cult. Join my cult, and then I'll worship this other cult, and then you worship me, and then we'll pass the. I don't know, like skip the middleman.
Like like
go straight to the factory.
Chimamadu, I really love your super chat. Thank you so much. That's exactly the point I want to talk right now.
Show what I just did something.
Okay, here. Okay,
I wanted to
this
explain
one. I will show you this.
It's in the same thread. Oh, you just clicked the wrong thing.
I just destroyed the whole thing.
All right, come on. What did you do?
What did I even do?
Right click, copy link address, paste.
Go.
There you go. This is what I wanted to show you.
Yep. Good job at photoshopping, EJ.
The Schiller Institute.
Oh gosh.
Cults all the way down. But okay, we got your poster we were commenting on here.
Yeah. Oh man, boy oh boy.
What were you gonna say? Oh, you wanted to show the other one?
Yep.
Okay.
Here. It's here.
Okay, hold on. I'll do it.
It's the next tweet of this.
So this one, that one.
That one. So this is the actual thing that they put on street. Okay.
Imagine being so deep in this rabbit hole that you're not even just because like for most of these cult members, they're just like they think that tweeting is praxis and they think that like going and harassing people is praxis. But imagine being so consumed by this cult that you go outside and you take one of these posters, which probably somehow money is changing hands and like it's the grift goes that deep. But what
if somebody did this for free?
That's it.
Holy shit!
That's what's so remarkable.
Embarrassing. Jeez,
I mean, like, how can you take this thing physically in your hands and look at this ugly, hideous monstrosity of a poster
put it on street
and like, be seen in public putting this up? It's just really funny to me.
If I made this art and they public it, like it's like a shame. It's a shame of my life.
It's shockingly bad.
My lifelong shame.
It just shows the lack of judgment all around. It's like it's so bad. And so like, and by the way, they try to deny that they're part of the LaRouche movement, but look, study LaRouche@gmail.com, which by the way, nice. I mean, like, I love that they use @gmail.com. It's very professional. And then Madame LaRouche is
dude. You couldn't even get it like add LaRouche.com or something to sound a little bit more professional. It must be @gmail.com.
I know. Get a URL, folks. And
they have a QR code. Can we?
Oh, I don't want to
scan that.
Do it with your phone. I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. I don't want
that on my phone.
I don't want to poison my phone. I'm sorry.
EJ will not be mistaken for a deer when he's wearing that shirt. That's true.
That's true.
But show the Daming Kwan one side by side with the.
I have to look it up. Let's see here.
It's so funny. Like I just don't like. Where does this? It's like a symptom to me. Honestly, like this is like a symptom when you with like this kind of graphic design. Like you got to show them side by side. That's the way you got to do it.
How you want to do it?
Just like.
Oh, okay. Okay, share that.
No, this is ineffective. Here, we'll just do this. Right click. I don't know. We need a better solution for like throwing images up.
I have to share screen.
All the momentum drops when we try to share like two things at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, we'll share the window. This window. Okay. All right, and then we'll pull this over here.
Yes.
I'm gonna come up with a better system for this in the long run.
Yeah.
Open image, a new tab. Okay. Zoom in on it. How do we? Control. Okay. Here's that.
I know it's low resolution. It's not my fault. It's just they use it.
You want to show this one next to it?
Yeah.
All right. This is what is just so funny. It's like. Oh yeah, that is the actual resolution.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Wait,
why is it? Why?
It's
Why?
So stupid!
I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that you can't.
No way! Come on.
That's ridiculous. No, they're linked. They're linked. Okay, whatever. This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
Like you can't independently zoom. It's weird. Like why is that? Okay, here's what I will do. I'll put this in a different browser.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it. I'll put it in like your account.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. This is just we don't do this stuff a lot, so we're gonna have to come up with a better system for showing images.
Yeah, there. Finally it works.
Oh my! I don't know why that's happening. Okay, here we go. So this is all we wanted to do. Show these side by side. These are your reactionary, silly people.
Why did you stop sharing it?
I accidentally clicked this. Don't ask. It's too complicated to explain, and nobody cares. All right, look. This is what we wanted to show. Jeez Louise, what a process. Okay, so, graphic design is the passion of reactionaries all around the world. And look, they have so many similar features. They got the American flag. You got your cult leader. You got your cult leader, Helga Zepp-LaRouche. You got your sub-cult leader.
You have a dead cult leader.
You got your dead cult leader here. Look, they've got their fancy building. They've got their fancy yacht. It's like, what the fuck?
They also have a Gmail or .com or something.
Right. I'm surprised that Daming Kwan hasn't discovered the QR code yet.
Yeah, right.
That really classes up any.
Don't just tell them that. They would do it. Wait.
There's more to this poster?
Of course.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. It's pretty funny. All right, but do you want to talk about the green fascism thing? I can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, do talk about it. Welcome, member.
Hello, welcome new member to YouTube.
I know like bare minimum about green fascism.
All right, so they're basically saying that it's like, okay, this is what fascists do. They take some truth and they take some real reactionary, they take some truth and they take some real revolutionary concepts and then they mix it with fascist bullshit. So it does multiple things at the same time. It wrecks our movement, it obfuscates, it muddies the waters, it creates an entry pathway for fascism, it tries to draw on people who actually do have legitimate grievances in our society. You know what I mean? And it all pushes that into a fascist framework, right? And it makes it just much harder for us to do our work as revolutionaries. So what they're doing is they're taking these ideas, which are good, of like, so for instance, anti-Malthusian, I can't say this word, behind every pat socket. Yeah. That's why I liked it. That's my favorite is Fail Son Hinkle.
It's the
best. It might be my greatest contribution to communism.
Yeah, Fail Son Hinkle.
How do you say this fucking guy's name? Anti-Methuselianism.
Oh my God, Methuselah? No way, that's
anti-Methuselism.
We're so
anti-Methuselism. Okay, god damn.
Excuse me, I'm never.
Methuselah has a shit name. Sorry, Methuselah. It's not very good branding. Not good personal branding. So, anyways. So Methuselah was this. It's this idea that like, oh my gosh! Wait a minute. Let me look at this real quick. Am I getting things mixed up? It's the idea that like, Malthusian. God damn it! I got Malthus and Methuselah. I knew I was fucking something up. Okay. All right. Back up. Reverse. Rewind. Starting over. Okay.
Yeah. See, Malthusian.
Thank you.
The chat.
Malthus, Methuselah. So okay. Anti-Malthusian. Fuck. Anti-Methuselan. God, see.
Not gonna remember that.
My world's greatest stream fail. Okay. Malthus was this guy who said that like the earth is overpopulated, and Malthusian thought has been used by a lot of different capitalist thank you. That actually helps. Thank you for the phonics. Hooked on phonics is working for me. That's a boomer reference. Okay. Malthusianism is used by a lot of super reactionaries, including like the Bill Gates Foundation. Right?
Really?
So yeah, you know, when they say that like, okay, you just retweeted the idea that where the American imperialists are demanding that Africa reduce emissions.
Yep.
And Bill Gates goes around and says we need to like reduce population in Africa, even though Africa is like one of the least contributors to global warming. So there's this idea that like the Earth's resources are very scarce and we have to reduce the population of the Earth, and overpopulation is going to be this big problem.
And then they believe in the unlimited like profit.
Right, and the thing is, the problem is not overpopulation. The Earth can actually support billions and billions more people. The problem is capitalism and the capitalist political economy and capitalist industry and capitalist pollution. It's the relationship we have with the means of production that causes all these problems. Scarcity is a myth. It's been a myth for over a century.
Yeah, it is a myth.
There's way more than enough resources for everybody to survive. So overpopulation is not a problem. Now, what the reactionaries who are caping as communists are doing is they're taking that core of truth, that kernel of truth, that, you know, overpopulation is a myth and that we have enough resources for everybody to have, you know, good, healthy, comfortable lives. And they're taking it a step forward and saying the whole idea of like trying to stop global climate change and shit is fascism, and it's being used as a vehicle to invoke social control on people. And in a sense, there's truth to that, because neoliberals and capitalists, they do use the environment to enact control. They do obfuscate the real problems of the environment, everything like that. But they're taking it like a step forward and saying like, no, we need to industrialize. We need to, you know, we need to just ignore the problems of the economy, of the environment. It's like a deviation. You know, like, so like the neoliberals deviate in one direction where they're like masking the real nature of the problem and deflecting from the problems of capitalism. And then these green fascism, these green anti-green fascists, whatever the fuck you want to call them, are also deviating because they're pretending that there's no environmental problem whatsoever. And
it's literally like climate change denials.
what a Marxist should do, what a communist should do, is leverage the problems of the climate to fight capitalism and point out the extreme contradiction that capitalism is what's causing these problems, not merely human beings like existing. You know what I mean? But that's not what they're doing. They're falling into they're using it to kind of try to shoehorn right-wing climate change denialism into a communist flesh suit is what they're doing. Conservatives demonize studying the liberal arts, so they handicap their representation in anything not STEM and law, hence the trash graphic design. that's a pretty good hypothesis. That requires more investigation. It's kind of like how conservative music is just so terrible. Oh, the other thing too, and I think you should understand this as well. There are connections between this green fascism concept and this new anti-civ movement that's coming out. There's like this shit, like there are a lot of ops being run at the same time right now. So there are these anti-civ anarchists right now who are, first of all, saying a lot of really reactionary shit about indigenous people, and basically they're defining civilization as like white Western civilization.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then they're using this as like a launching platform to just have a lot of really bad takes. And there's a lot of, I don't know, there's just all these like intersections between all these different shitty reactionary ops that are being run right now. And over the next few months, we're going to be trying to document all this stuff, right? So like right now we're just researching and putting things together, but keep your eyes out. If you see people talking about anti-civ, if you see them talking about nihilist communism, this new, like the arrows of chaos, all this stuff, like this stuff, like, okay, so like just as a real side tangent real quick, watch out for this. There's this new idea of like nihilist communism, which is that the best way to fight capitalism is to do nothing and to stop anybody from trying to start a real movement. That's the idea. That's the underlying philosophy. So like if you see anybody who's trying to build a movement or organize a revolution, you should do everything you can to wreck them, because, and it's got a lot of parallels to the Nick Land accelerationism. I mean, this is a rabbit hole, folks. It goes really deep. So then they're saying like, basically you should, because it's all rooted in this kind of like Stirnerist, egoist idea that, speaking against land back is a huge red flag. Speaking against decolonization is a huge red flag. So this idea of like nihilist communism is all rooted in this idea that, like being selfish and selfish motivation, being like self-interested is the optimal way to exist in the world.
That's just egoism.
Yeah, it's rooted in egoism, but they're rebranding it as communist nihilism. And they're saying like if we stop people from organizing a revolution and we do nothing, that's the fastest way for capitalism to collapse, because then people will basically spontaneously act out of self-interest to end capitalism, because capitalism will, it makes absolutely no fucking sense, but they're really good at packaging it and giving the illusion that it does. And if you have the shitty kind of political education that we have growing up in the USA, it's easy to fall for it. So this is just the first step in trying to show you guys about this stuff. I want you to be aware of it, because it will probably end up popping up somewhere in your social media feeds or something. Yeah. And this is all, be aware of that. Do you think this is all part of a CIA, FBI disinformation camp? See, here's the thing. We can only speculate, I mean, we know that there's the LaRouche Schiller cult has something to do with the MAGA communists, right? But as far as everything else, I mean, who knows what's right? There's so many different vectors, and it could be a lot of different things, right? It could be cops, could be 4chan trolls. We know that there are a lot of cops on 4chan. We know that there are like intelligence agents on 4chan. That's been documented. Yeah. We know that the military has a huge cyber operations campaign center that they have, that they used a lot during like the SOS Cuba thing. The NSA thing. They could just be wreckers and just like shitty losers who just want to destroy things. And it's probably a little mix of like kind of all of the above. Who knows? And by the way, there could be funding from some capitalist institution. We know that the Koch brothers fund a lot of psyops online. For instance, it's just who knows? We can only speculate. But the point is that right now, a lot of really shitty reactionary undercurrents are coming out. And this happens every time communism starts to gain any traction. I mean, it's happened since the very beginning in the 1920s. There's that great video by Besdy Marx, right? Can you put a link to that in the description? Yeah. Great video. I'm about to go, by the way. But there's a great video by Besdy Marx about how Mussolini started out as a socialist and betrayed socialism and built fascism. And of course, if you read Black Shirts in Red, you'll see that from the very beginning, Mussolini and Hitler were co-opting and trying to take the momentum from communist revolution, and that's what the aesthetics of fascism sort of try to recuperate and adopt. That's why the red flag, the Nazi flag is red. That's why they call themselves National Socialists. It's this illusion of revolution, right? So what Parenti said was, and I'm paraphrasing here, something like, what distinguishes fascism from all other authoritarian, white supremacist, imperialist, autocratic governments of the past is that it capes itself in this like aura of fascism. And by the way, I also recommend people check out the works of Benjamin, who wrote about the aesthetics of fascism and the idea of aura, and how art in a mechanized society. Benjamin was writing in the started writing in the 1920s, I think. But basically, it was like right when mass communications was starting to happen. Radio was kind of brand new. Public address systems and speakers and microphones were brand new. Film was a pretty new medium at the time. And the Nazis were basically the first political ideology to have mechanized mass communication built in from the very foundation of their ideology. And so that's why, I mean, fascists have always been very good at like mass communication. Now, they might not be great at graphic design. I think we've taken a step back since the early days of fascism in terms of graphic design. But certainly they're very good at manipulating narratives and building false narratives and building cults of personalities. And that's all endemic to fascism. So anyway, keep an eye out for that shit. I'm going to go now.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're over time too.
Oh, really? Interesting. All right.
Time flies.
Wrap it up, Luna.
Time flies. Oh my gosh. So yeah, with the stream today, the moral story of the stream today is first, the British Empire is evil, has been always evil, and now they still exist, and King Charles III take power. Literally of the huge failure of the working class. That King Charles III still exists, and the royal family still exists to this day. And I think is that like we have to, the second moral story today is that we as actual leftists, we have
Can I
to.
make one more observation? Will you throw that poster on one more time?
What poster? Their poster?
Yeah, their poster.
Okay.
Zoomed out. Yeah, right there. Hold that. I want to throw that on screen.
I am doing it.
You got to remove it. And
yeah.
I don't like the StreamYard.
I do not like it.
All right, there you go. All right, so check this out. Go put your mouse over it. All right, it has this like cheapness to it.
Yeah, it's so cheap.
It's like they're trying to look so fancy and rich. They got the yacht and they're holding the drink and they're all wearing suits, but it looks so fucking cheap.
You're right. It looks so cheap.
It's like a $3 like thrift store suit that doesn't quite fit, but they're just trying so hard to look like. And by the way, it's really, I mean, there's so much to unpack here. You could do like a master's thesis, I think, on the fucking weird content of this politically, because they're trying to be a working class movement, but they're doing videos from their like glass high-rise apartment buildings. They're showing themselves with yachts. They're appealing to the petty bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
And then they can't do it well because it's like they suck at it and it looks cheap and shitty. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Look at that Hexen Stinko's shiny, sweaty face.
Anyway, I just think it's really fascinating how they're like simultaneously trying to be working class, but also like nouveau riche, but then they're also like cheap as fuck. It's just the aesthetics are so, I guess I would just say, to be very, very generous, unique.
Working class yacht. Oh my gosh. I mean, lots of people didn't believe that this is real. The poster is real when I posted this, but this is it. They really literally put that on street. It takes a lot of money to look this cheap. Oh gosh. I mean, it's so funny that like, they used to, the Caleb Maupin used to be their, their leader, and then they just go with him everywhere, but now everything had to take his name out, his face out. It's kind of funny. Like they're so quick to like, like abandon him, so fucking quick. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you so much for being here today, and we had good laugh. And yeah, the second moral is, that I want to tell you today is that we, as leftists, as communists, we have to look at do actual investigation, analyze the information and actually like read what people like wrote and listen to what they said, so we can draw our own conclusion. You cannot just look at from the surface level. You cannot just look at how they label themselves or their bio and or their pictures, their profile pictures, and they just you believe everything you say. Because like those MAGA communists, they put like communists in the bio, they put like Marxism Leninism in the bio, and then they have a like sicko and hammers in their profile picture, but they're not communists, they're fascists. They cult member. They literally worship a cult leaders who bootleg the other cult leaders. So that's just it. And in order to see this, you have to actually like listen to them, see what they said and see what they wrote. Only then you can know. Okay, and thank you so much everybody for being here. I had fun. I hope you had fun too, and see you next week. Bye everybody. Thank you so much for all the super chat and the donation too. Thank you. Bye bye.